doesn't matter what it gon' cost. Never gave a shit, real soul. Let it take a hit. Hey. Who's getting high on emotion? Look around. People fight all their life for some peace. Yeah. Look around. Fancy cars and the smiles of the ocean. Purple sky, let that night come with peace. Anywhere you wanna be. Anywhere you wanna be. Yeah. Hold up your sign, go. They ain't count on it. They ain't count on it. They ain't count on it. Show what you gon' do. They don't want on it. They don't want on it. They don't want on it. Right. Take off. Rush at the rush. Take off. Rush at the rush. Rush. Take off. Rush at the rush.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you lost, oh, I will take your hand and we'll rise up from the dust. Oh, here we go, let us heal and grow. You won't be alone, we're unstoppable. Don't be afraid to show what we're going for. This is what we know. Here we come back to life, we're still breathing. Standing up, everybody's gonna see it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. Even if we fall, we will rise up and we follow the path that we believe in. No, we're not gonna stop until we reach it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. We all have our reasons why we are on this track. Oh, we all have our burdens, yeah, but we just keep on fighting and we never look back. Here we go, let us heal and grow. You won't be alone, we're unstoppable. Don't be afraid to show what we're going for. This is what we know. Here we come back to life, we're still breathing. Standing up, everybody's gonna see it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. Even if we fall, we will rise up and we follow the path that we believe in. No, we're not gonna stop until we reach it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. I was born like a fire in the eye of a hurricane. Always told, stay in line, be alright, better play it safe. I walk a different path, nothing can hold me back. I've passed the point of no return. Something is calling me, it's in the air that I breathe. Bring me back to life again. Dancing with my fear, burning with desire. We gon' take it to the edge.
fly so high they can't touch us. So top notch, none above us. We done came so far, now we up now. Had a vision, stuck to it, never back down. Never had much, now we own the whole thing. Spread it all around the world, watch it all change. Came alive, now they all see the greatness. Light shine so hard they can't take it.
Dancing with my fear, burning with desire. We gon' take it to the edge and come alive. Go to hell and back just to feel the fire. We gon' turn up in this place and come alive.
Come alive.
I walk a different path, nothing can hold me back. I passed the point of no return, something is calling me. It's in the air that I breathe. Bring me back to life again. Dancing with my fear, burning with desire. We gon' take it to the edge and come alive. Go to hell and back just to feel the fire. We gon' turn up in this place and come alive.
Come alive. Come alive. Come alive. Come alive, come alive, come alive in the nighttime. Come alive, come alive, come alive in the nighttime. Come alive, come alive, come alive in the nighttime.
Come alive.
Ano yun? Makabay na ni. Is this the buy? Baratuhon sa. Let's go. Lalo may smoke. Fuck.
Top 4 men. Nasa TVs.
Uy, one long, ikawas na long.
Kalabag, give up lang nung. Isara.
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 Dili na isa lang. Bang yang short.
Uy, dyan do. Yan nga to yun, dyan.
Shit,
Bomb
ya
shot, bomb shot.
Mid ah. Hindi lang ka-meet.
Nading, kang usa. Ang usa na, nading.
Pang na.
Ilabang.
Oo, magit din ako. Nahit ni Ryle. Nice, isa lang. Sudla. Nice.
Ma-defuse na.
Patay.
Mob. Dash ko.
Chef, punit.
Iki na.
Iki dia sebe.
Nay, init ako utilities. Pero ay mga free utilities.
Kita nang duha ka iki.
Ba't ang tikas ilok? Papa. Nakalimot ako malain. Snake.
One upper mid. Ito sniper ah.
Uy, flash.
Nabiya ako sa...
Flashing B.
Nagan kay Bidol. Ano na, sunod na lang side.
Alert lang ko long.
Ah!
Napod mid.
Na-flash na.
Box.
Asa na ba? Alpha?
B.
BB.
Tayo yung pinapasok ko. Pinky.
Ay, out dia baba.
Window tingnan.
Damit.
Oh, wala yun. What the
Patay,
fuck?
patay.
What the fuck? Bugo, ay.
Out dul.
Nice.
Shush.
Box.
Pero ito ko.
One more.
Ay, siya. Kaya nice time
Nice
trader.
try.
Tawa mo, masyagit di ba? Pero tinuod na igo.
May gamay kong mali ba? Patay lang offer.
Wala yung offer.
Offer dead.
One long.
Take out tunnels. Clear. Play ko rin eh.
Target. Dito sa
Short,
tigor.
short.
Long hold. Wait.
Check a short.
Tulong. Okay, patay.
Pressure shot.
Patay na short.
Tulong.
Push ko dire long na.
Smoke
Check
apart.
over A.
Okay, at nang sa iyo pag ikong throw.
Patay na ko sa.
Labang na.
Okay, so.
Long, last guy long.
Last guy.
Long.
Last long. I-push.
Long, wait.
43, tag 43. Ridiculous advantage. Nice.
One
Save
low.
out.
May XK.
Lagi. Gas.
Magpapuli.
Molly.
Naka-pick long rail. Ako na rifle be. Wala long rifle. Isa shot.
Bigo B.
Take flash. Isa lang. Hold lang. Back lang.
Check ko mid.
Kubab. Dire ba?
Short. Kana short.
Boss ko rail.
Babay, babab.
Rotate.
Na short.
Nababaw na mo green.
Take flash. Long. Shot.
Tamba mo short ah.
Tama sinay long.
Trap sila short.
Hold lang.
Ato short.
Nice. Push daw short, push.
Shot.
Nice one daw.
This game is stressful.
Ito dyan no, long ta.
Tira.
Time out sila.
Likod na ako.
CR tayo.
Tap na ko flash. Ako likod na.
Copy.
Gigi.
One mid green, one mid lang ganyan. Take one. Ang rotate lang ba?
PR.
Okay. Lang ko likod dyan ba? Kung kapatay ba? Flash lang ko. Ang likod dili
Ako
ko
yung
tumangan.
ikaw na.
Oo na. Yeah. Andam nag-flash likod.
Gigi.
Save! Kurot na save!
I'm back.
Come with me. Yes. Let's go, people. Laying down smoke.
Sa likod din, flash ako likod.
Rush ni mid. Maybe.
Hala, sa'yo ko dulu.
Man, bili lang ka. shot.
Wala na.
Shot nando.
One more. Wow, ano kaya? Ano kaya mo?
Ano pa?
Flashing B.
Deploying flashbang.
Saan naman din na?
Bomb drop.
Throwing fire.
Ortans daw dyan daw.
Bantay.
Sige, push ko ah.
Nice. Ito, ga-AK yung gusto. What the fuck? Sayang ang kwarto. Libre yung gusto nila.
Kuguro na sila ron.
May XK na nai-ilis na right.
Atay.
Saan nakata ng neon ko?
Mid to mid.
Sakto ka na right, di ba ulit?
Cross mo daw, be. Cross mo daw.
Flashbang. Throwing fire.
Sorry, Dol.
Takasip.
Grenade out. Throwing flashbang.
Uy,
Shot.
Wala, para in case mo rush sa...
Throwing a grenade.
Sa lamid.
Ewan pa rin, no? Mali lang.
Ari tabi.
Ah, siya.
Nabam dito, nabam.
Uy, bomb drop trio. Yeah, low na niya sa.
Short na. Care.
Duha na to sila.
Nice.
One shot.
AK?
Shot one long.
Ito, alis.
Short. Ito long. Flash green, flash. Show mid.
Okay, flash na.
Flash. Short
Deploying flashbang.
flashing.
Nice.
Lower tons, low.
Lower turn.
Okay.
168.
Ding.
ako nasudlon.
Sige, Bob.
Ay, yaw.
Oh, napay
Na-short.
sword.
I-push yan, Bob. I-push dito, Bob. Sa ubos. Ako sana dito.
Murag A na to.
Dito short, bab.
Saka na to, sir.
Ina to. Bomb long, no? Ito sa side.
So, dagoro sila sa...
Yan na to. Ni...
May flash, Bob.
Yay. What would you flash? Kung ako needs.
Antay, baba.
Wala.
Na site sa
Yeah, Dol.
goose, bantay goose. Site.
Ayun,
Push,
sige.
Kaya tamawan pa sila ba?
Site o ramp. Wala may time.
Sige.
Ano lang, Bob?
Ay, duha ka, Bob.
Kati. Kati na, bab.
Oh,
Okay na. Kati na.
sad.
Nice try.
Rich money naman dito. Oh, yawa si Clyde dito rin. Clyde, baka naman.
Kita long right.
Ah, tara rin.
Long ko, long.
Mulang.
Ikaw, gando.
Rush B.
Atay.
Bilin ka long. Bilin ka long. Ari ko mid.
Incendiary.
Push pa.
Nawawa na naman.
Sabi na, agri. Yawa eh.
Hala. Mga ano ko?
Dato sila.
Kay ko dol. Clyde. Ayuda. Naman to.
We're wasting time.
Upper mid.
Throwing fire.
Nalong.
Grenade out.
One mid. Long. Short.
Back na, dyan do. Back na. Layo. Layo.
naman na rin siya, patasudlan siya.
Channels, sana short.
Ready ko kaso.
Wala naman rin shoot. Kaya, sorry.
Full util pag ito.
Anong world nag-dance na music, uy.
Mugo.
Lipa, guda na sa pistol raman.
Incendiary.
Hold na lang ako kay wala ko eh.
Flashbang.
Okay.
Flash pa, sword mo.
Throwing fire.
Nice.
Let's go.
Ramp.
Boss Bob. Nice ka, Bob. Nasa mo left.
Now left.
Long, isa.
Nasa
Long, isa.
pit,
Offer.
Wala is mo. Kana, defuse.
Gigi, ako i-hold.
Di ba? Nasa defuse, nasa kit.
Get back.
Ako wala.
Anyways.
May papasok na sila.
Iko sa po, iko.
Tagalog dito si.
Let's get this done. Laying down smoke.
Rush.
Incendiary out.
Short, gando. Short.
LT.
Pura mga pet.
Uy, diri ba short ba? Ay, diag long. Diyan na lang long.
Short.
Dili kam. Lang ako.
Short ba, short?
Bagaya
Grabe, di
naman.
ma-headshot eh.
Ka maminaw god ana ko short.
Hindi na ako to dun. Nagpusil ako to. Okay.
Kita na ba daw na pili?
Gawat. Gawa.
Save is the key.
Na lang.
Save na lang ba?
Gigi, mag-upload.
Ay mo.
Bye. Nakayata, push.
Ngay, basta.
Askang.
One tap.
Nagugupod mo.
Kayata sa
Iwas na. What mo kayo?
Our mission
back
is
to
simple.
4.
Take them out.
To.
AK. Ay, gigan. Ito, ano.
Incendiary.
Flash long.
Back. Magsaside.
Kaya na lower tons.
Side
Para
wa.
laubos. Ay, come.
Ini drop.
Na long.
Nasa base nila, nag-off right. Okay.
Ano minus 52. Tunnels pa dong lower.
Throwing fire.
Dari na.
Ano na dia? Pa dong lower tons ha.
Throwing smoke.
Asal na lang.
Nana dire B.
Yes.
So, bisa.
Nagin.
Push.
Sab.
Go together.
Tag 18-9. Oh, what the fuck.
Sana sila
RNG,
Sige.
RNG kay headshot. Low tong isa.
Ryle. Side na right side.
Sa car.
Wala natin.
Nice.
One more low.
Wala na.
Side.
Ano pa di usa day? Pistit tuloy pa.
Low na. Uy.
Oh, dara.
Abi no, duha na lang.
Dito.
Ay!
P9 is the key.
We're wasting time. Let's go.
Nakadlock na kita. Ano yung chat mo sa?
Long.
Kaya nasakta na. Ano sila, Jer? Oo, mas kumpa.
Long, long.
Ay, buhat.
Short. Short.
Okay lang yan.
Huwag pambak na.
Hang ko, gyantay.
Okay.
Ito na, sila defense.
Ni hang.
Time out, Arol.
Ang ginang wilmit. Hey, good there. Ang patay ako. Again. Sila defense. Game.
Ayan yung Deray. Time out.
Ayan.
Pro games.
Anak ko bire. Panamatay na ito eh. Itong last ba? Ay mo bro. Anak ko.
Astron ba?
Wala na ko. Okay. Okay na.
Astron dito?
Mura.
Kalimut.
Bots ako short eh. Green.
Time to bring
Sa may ka dire ba?
Asa ka rin?
Let's go dire.
God.
Short lang. Top line up.
Sinkyari.
Lalaki. Ay, dili lalaki dra. Kana.
Baka black smoke sa kuha sa short. Post ang counter-terrorist. Lang
Boy.
short.
Move Kuya Rebel.
Wala na eh.
Flash long.
Mo short, very mo short. Are mo short. Are mo short.
Laying down smoke.
Sip.
Level.
Set ay.
Flashbang.
Yate.
Tapos kalimut.
Pawa dyan doon.
Ako eh, welcome back. Sa iyo, pag-landing.
Se dami.
Nasa ubos doon.
Ooh.
Wow.
Long tingali. Long na.
May crack pa man.
Pure talent. Kaya terrorist na tayo. Okay.
Matigas.
Mas hinay movement sa Valorant kaysa
We must move.
mas kaysa CSGO.
Boom. Ang iba. Asa ka doon?
Sud. Haksay. Doors. Bantay doors.
Tan.
Ay, awa. Nahurot ng bala.
Sisa.
Bomb has been defused. Counter
Warm up.
Tidak boleh, lain.
Let's go. Let's go.
Likod. Aluha to. Papaalang ko rin. Kalimot nagsusapatos ko rin ay.
Shot.
Yeah.
Car.
Nice one.
Shot.
Kaya ito. 81.
Nice car.
Nice.
Shot isa.
Push.
Kaya ito, hanging lang.
Not bab.
Lag.
City.
Nice.
Awas.
Throwing a flashbang.
Clear. Gawas ang vanguard.
Drop, Dando, drop.
Nice.
Road to success.
Drop to. Tama mo guns. Ano, tingin mo na.
May flash doll.
Flash tiga.
I'm throwing smoke.
Bantay lower. Okay, pit.
Wala. Pa-feel ako smoke sa mid.
Throwing fire.
Agoy, bubo.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ang project, yellow.
Push your shot ha.
Wala. Ang bahal.
Nice,
4
nice.
HP. Yun.
Apa yung sa doll? Nice. Suta.
One shot. Sige.
Okay, plant bab. Kubiran lagi.
Last game.
Nakahabol na.
Last guy low. Nice.
Nice.
M4.
Ako rin na.
Hoy!
Ako sad na
Diyan.
Drop ko.
Tira.
Jendo, push lang. Saan ka?
Maray, so good guys. So good.
Like them from our land.
Sa bomb, drop sa bomb. Ito, may orange.
Throwing a flashbang. I'm throwing flashbang.
Tabangi. Shot yun. Tabangan teka.
Low. Tag na ko.
Narinig ko yung HP. Malon yun. Patay na.
Flashbang.
Mid isa.
Labay, molibab.
Ay, sorry.
MP na yun.
Grenade.
Flash ang tamo. Push mo.
Shot.
Kilig yun.
Close, bawas na.
Nice.
Site last.
Agoy, awa. Dugayan ni Buto eh.
Flash. Molly ko Ghost Ryle.
Nice. So,
Ako long. Balit mo utility B, daga na ba? Bob, balit talang Bob. Utility.
Be safe. Let's go.
Check ko long.
Long is the life.
Grenade.
Amoy, kaya ata.
Purot kin mo diretso.
Kaya ata.
Bawa na sila.
problema.
AK. Ay, AK.
Is Totoy, nag-uli pag
Palong Ryle.
Ka-funny.
Nice.
Okay. Ika nag-BI.
Throwing flashbang.
Sayang.
Nice.
Dogs.
Kaya. Kaya.
One more.
Aray. Nungo ka. Masa na suicide.
Kabitin niya ba yung daga, no? Ganun.
Shadow.
Tangina
Easy.
mo.
Yes. Chinese ba yung pangalan? So, easy.
We will defeat the mercenaries.
B na to.
Distract na ako sa lalong.
Flashbang. I'm throwing flashbang.
Na, Ostara ni Cross B.
Flashbang.
Ay! Ba, B? Why? Paano ta? B na eh.
Ska, B-play na, B-play. Isa na na.
Car.
Saan ako right, ah?
Throwing a flashbang. I'm throwing smoke.
Taga.
Wait, oh. Oh!
Nakaya.
Oxton. Oxton, eh.
Side step.
May load ra.
Midag.
Dagi. Flash ka, Ryle.
Throwing fire.
Nakita ko na sa ako.
Grabe. Uy! Pag mo-crouch niya.
Simple.
Throwing a grenade.
Both. Ay.
Move it.
Pause isa.
Uy, shift.
Ara. Isa na.
Nababaw shot.
Isa na rin.
Flash ko, Clyde.
Ay lang.
I'm throwing flashbang. Smoke.
Graduate. Pa.
Isa. Debate dong, offer daw. Opat yun.
Ako BR.
Nice ka doon.
Isa sa right side. Right side.
Car. Tanong.
Na.
Eh. Tot.
Ari.
Tara.
Grabe.
One city. Clear on B. I-push yung city B.
Kaya pa napag-ikot din yung push.
Wait lang. Papush na yung city sa kuan. Plant.
Sige, plant. Green.
Naka-green.
Ang
Green.
AD eh.
Let's go city. Nasa big box ha. Dikot sa big box.
Let's go na.
Nadia, green. Green, pick.
Flashback.
Nice ka rin.
Eh, up dito
Stop,
sa
stop.
B.
Take off. Sa may doors.
Okay.
Oh! Pagin ako nakuha.
Amat door.
Pick Jondo, pick.
Let's go, my brothers.
Sa pick doon.
Bam kasip.
Yung 3 frag siya. Pagawa niya. Tayo.
Short, nice kill.
Tangina, sakit ang deal.
Ken long, back sa
Oh,
baba.
oh my god, 94? What the
Alam
fuck?
ko.
One tap na to, Bob. One tap na to, promise. 94.
Pit.
Post lang.
Oh my god.
Ina.
Nice.
Luyan ninyo, bantay.
Oh, that transfer spray.
Bob, nasa luyan niyo ba, bantay?
Lang, wait lang.
Ganyan kay
Nako.
Ape.
Wala.
Asa?
Sad.
Ito ko ano? Nadre.
Duha pa Clyde na ang isa na ni Along.
Sige.
Yo.
Gamit ang
Go to pit.
Chigo.
Nice ka rin.
Kanas, siguro. Kato mo to Hoxton.
Dili na, wala na yung off.
I'm throwing a flashback.
So guys,
Ano to? City. Ay, east side.
Long.
Huwa tara tayo. Yung push. Ikan tingin ito mate.
tawag bira sana.
We shall rule the day.
Beta kay Power B.
Light up, sketchers.
Flashback.
Let's go, smoke.
Throwing a flashback.
From 13.
Nice.
City. Plant.
Kabantay Alfred.
Tunnels B.
Nakotans.
Nadre, window.
Minaog.
Na window.
Isod, no? Na, doors.
Push green.
Nisod.
Isod na.
Ah!
Green.
Bahay, Bob.
Sud.
Grabe, bak.
Dua lang. Daduain.
Aray.
Pabot ko. Ayan, lagi. Dua lang dato, pero okay.
Okay ko babi. Drop ka bab.
Okay. Ayun lang.
Take it. Okay.
So that we may be free.
Uy, ilis na.
Bito.
Flashback.
Nice.
Yawa ko yung buko.
I'm throwing smoke. Smoke.
May dato mid.
I'm throwing smoke.
Fight mo BB.
Flash ko ba, Isaac?
City.
One door.
Gata new city, so gata city. Nice.
Sod na B. Wala ni tao B.
Burn.
Smoke.
Tape lang,
Smoke ko
tape.
lang doors. Smoke
Nakalong ha.
This.
Nasa mid, nasa mid.
Ay, B-door.
Low na to, low. Oh my god.
The window.
Lahi nga lawas ang gitan ang patay.
Nice
Nice.
one, dude.
Jump. Work din jump kon.
Uy, bugo, open weapon!
Di work.
Drop ko.
Ay,
Di work lagi.
Ano kayo mag-up?
Work yung jump shot to. 100%.
Hindi ka na-drop, una ko akong hit niya.
Move, my brothers. Move.
Wow, weapon.
Nadas rato.
Throwing a flashback.
Kung push ba slow?
I'm throwing a flashback. Flashback.
Short. Ay, pambait ba?
Dari sabi, tabangi ko.
Short.
Coming.
Cartons. Kati ko.
Napayo sa Ryle si mong right. Sure.
Drop up. Nice. Tabangis bro.
Oh, lip yun na ni B.
Nice one. Last guy.
Lower touch bomb. Sabi. Back up si Bob.
What's
Out there na yun.
Low.
City.
54.
Asa?
City.
Copy.
Isa lang hold sa kani.
Smoke.
Tunnels. Window.
Door.
Last door.
Bawata.
Tadi ko ba? Absolute no confidence.
Gumamit.
Wow.
Hold up your sign, though. They ain't count on that. Show what you gon' do. They don't want all that. They don't want all that. Rush.
That sounds like a pop song.
Take a dive before you cry, y'all. It's the only way to live. You can't be without it, baby. Yeah, I know. Try before you sign off. This shit can kill the sick. Real stuff. It's the only way to live. Fancy cars and the smiles of the ocean. Purple sky, let that night come with peace. Anywhere you wanna be. Yeah. Hold up your sign, though. They ain't count on that. Show what you gon' do. They don't want all that. Rush. Pick up, I know to be right on. Cause no one really cares. Don't look back, I'll keep your eyes on. Long ago. Doesn't matter what it gon' cost. Never gave a shit. Real soul. Let it take a hit. Hey. Who's getting high on emotion? Look around. People fight all their life for some peace. Yeah. Look look around. Fancy cars and the smiles of the ocean. Purple sky, let that night come with peace. Anywhere you wanna be, anywhere you wanna be, yeah, yeah. Hold up your sign, though. They ain't count on it. They ain't count on it. They ain't count on it. Show what you gon' do. They don't want on it. They don't want on it. They don't want on it. Take off, take off. Rush at the rush. Take off, take off. Rush at the rush. Rush. Take off, take off. Rush at the rush.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you've lost, oh, I will take your hand and we'll rise up from the dust. Oh, here we go, 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 let us heal and grow. You won't be alone, we're unstoppable. Don't be afraid to show what we're going for. This is what we know. Here we come back to life, we're still breathing. Standing up, everybody's gonna see it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. Even if we fall, we will rise up and we follow the path that we believe in. No, we're not gonna stop until we reach it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. We all have our reasons why we are on this track. Oh, we all have our burdens, yeah, but we just keep on fighting and we never look back. Here we go, 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 let us heal and grow. You won't be alone, we're unstoppable. Don't be afraid to show what we're going for. This is what we know. Here we come back to life, we're still breathing. Standing up, everybody's gonna see it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. Even if we fall, we will rise up and we follow the path that we believe in. No, we're not gonna stop until we reach it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. We rise up from the dust and clear my throat. I was born like a fire in the eye of a hurricane. Always told, stay in line, be alright, better play it safe. I walk a different path, nothing can hold me back. I've passed the point of no return, something is calling me, it's in the air that I breathe. Bring me back to life again, dancing with my fear, burning with desire. We gon' take it to the edge and come alive. Go to hell and back just to feel the fire. We gon' turn up in this place and come alive.
Fly so high to they can't touch us. So top notch, none above us. We done came so far, now we up now. Had a vision, stuck to it, never back down. Never had much, now we own the whole thing. Spread it all around the world, watch it all change. Came alive, now they all see the greatness. Light shine so hard they can't take it.
Dancing with my fear, burning with desire. We gon' take it to the edge and come alive. Go to hell and back just to feel the fire. We gon' turn up in this place and come alive.
Walk a different path, nothing can hold me back. I passed the point of no return, something is calling me. It's in the air that I breathe. Bring me back to life again. Dancing with my fear, burning with desire. We gon' take it to the edge and come alive. Go to hell and back just to feel the fire. We gon' turn up in this place and come alive.
Sitting on a bench, waiting for the time to pass, dreaming of what happens next. I see what I wanna be, questioning my destiny, only knowing what I see. I don't even realize I've already made a path, and I can change it anytime, I can't take it back. I know what I want, but it seems so damn far away. I know I sound crazy to the ones who said then you better use it. Tell yourself day after day it's time to prove it. No days off, keep the hustle moving. Wanna see you be what you want it to be, prove it. I know